Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome to this video. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is doing fine. And I hope the universe is treating you fairly. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Today we are going to make a simple tart. We are going to be using store-bought puff pastry because making homemade puff pastry is a pain in the ass. This comes with 2 sheets. Each sheet will make approximately 3 tarts. For our filling, we are going to be using the HEB brand More Fruit. And we are going to be using the Pepperidge Farm puff pastry sheets. I do not receive any kind of sponsorship. I do not receive any money from HEB or Pepperidge Farm. But if they wanted to give me groceries, I'd be happy. Just putting it out there in the world, and especially in this economy. What we're going to do is I forgot to get my a few things, and I'll grab those and be right back. Okay, I am back. We will be using a pizza cutter and a bench knife or dough knife, depending on what we're trained to call it. I've called it both, and I go by both. I also call it a bench scraper sometimes. For this camera, I'm using 2 cameras. You can probably tell from this camera that I have this camera over here. But okay, what we're going to do is we're going to make 3, and then I'm going to turn off the camera and make the last 3. Then we're going to get them ready. Then we're going to prep them to go in the freezer. So we'll go here, and we'll remove this. And you don't have to have exact measurements. You can eyeball a lot of this. What I'm going to do is on these seams, I'm going to take my pizza cutter, go down, and go down. It just makes a nice clean cut in your dough. Now what I'll do is basically eyeball it in half. Boom. 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 Okay. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. Pull that back. You can use whatever you want to cut the dough. I just find that for me, these things work best. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my jelly, take a spoon, put a big old dab of jelly. Just boom. Right, like that. Smush it out a little bit. There we go. Now, pull that back. Pull that up. Then we're going to take this, lay it over the top. I'm going to kind of mush our ends in like this. Just give us an idea where everything's at. Then we're going to take our fork and we're just going to go around it and seal the edges. Then we're going to gently pick it up. use the back of the fork. And what's important about this is time, because puff pastry has a ton of, what makes it puff pastry is it has a ton of butter embedded into the dough. And this butter, you want it to stay relatively cold. Because if you do, it melts and gets absorbed by the dough and doesn't puff. That's the reason why I'm going to do 3 on camera and 3 off camera. Then we're going to put them in the refrigerator for a while. To cool them back down. Oh, knocked my thing down. Then we're going to put it back in the refrigerator for a minute. Then when they cool back down, we're going to pull them out, put a little bit of saran wrap around them. Then we're going to put them in the freezer for an hour. I use the back of the fork like that because it helps keep from tearing the pastry on the bottom. Okay. Like I said, you can use whatever you want as a filling. One of the real common ones that I use during the fall and winter is I'll take and I'll mince a bunch of apples. Just chop them, dice them as fine as I can. Then I'll put them in a big bowl, hit them with a little bit of salt, hit them with a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and I'll use that as a filling. And then, especially in the fall and winter, that just makes for a really nice treat. You got the cinnamon, and you got the brown sugar, and you got the apples. But just doing for like this video, or doing something quick and easy for like a quick dessert after dinner or something, jelly works just fine. So now I'm going to turn off the cameras, and I'll make the next 3 and get everything prepped to show you what I do to get them to go in the freezer. Okay, we are back. We are going to wrap these in saran wrap. Then we're going to put them in the freezer for an hour. And I will tell you right now that me and saran wrap do not get along very well. In fact, I need to grab a pair of scissors. Okay. Basically, the reason why we put saran wrap on it before we put it in the freezer is just to ensure that nothing floating around in the freezer settles on our tarts. They're not going to be in there long enough for like freezer burn or anything, but that is good to do. It's just something I do. I don't think it's not something you have to do. It's just kind of a paranoid thing on my part. or maybe even just a safety thing. We're going to put this in the freezer, then we're going to come back in an hour, and we're going to put everything into the oven, and we're going to cook it. Then we're going to look at them. I'm going to mix up my the topping that goes on it. Actually, no, we're not going to. I don't want to do a topping. We're just do plain jelly tart. So we'll go off into the freezer with this for an hour, then we'll be back. All right, it is time to put our pastry in the oven. I've got the oven preheated already. We got to remove them from the freezer. We're going to put them in the oven. Then we'll have a little bit of an explanation and go from there. So, what I'm doing is taking the saran wrap off as hurriedly as I can, because you want these to be as frozen as possible when they hit the oven. I've got 4 on this pan, 2 on this pan. We got 6 total. We are going into the oven. We're at 400 degrees, and we're going to go for 16 minutes on our cook time. Turn the exhaust vent on. The reason why you want your pastry as cold as possible is because pastry dough is simply dough that has been embedded with a whole lot of butter. And once that butter melts at like room temperature, it gets room temperature, it melts, it gets absorbed by the dough. What you want is a laminate effect. You want the butter in there, but you want the butter to be its own autonomous thing. And that's why keeping it cold and working it cold is so important. And the thing is when you go from freezer temperature, which is about 31 degrees, 30 degrees South or Fahrenheit, 0 to -2 Celsius, I believe, to the 400 degree oven, what happens is that butter explodes. It goes from solid to steam like that, and there's where you get your puff and puff pastry. And it's really interesting. It's just how things work. I have and I do make my own pastry. The thing is, it's a pain in the backside because you got to keep your dough warm enough and pliable enough to work, but you got to keep your butter cold enough not to be absorbed into the dough. I will only make homemade pastry for special occasions. A video on how to make simple tarts is not a special occasion, and I will only make it for 3 people on this planet. Those people being my wife, my goddaughter, and my goddaughter's mother. Other than that, you're getting store-bought puff pastry because it's easier, faster, and it's a little bit more reliable, believe it or not, because of the competition out there. I'm cooking this at 400 degrees for 16 minutes. Something you have to take into account, especially with pastry. Your cook time and your cook temperature are going to vary from place to place, depending on your elevation, your humidity, how dry it is, how close to the ocean you are, how if you're in the middle of the desert. All of those things factor into your cook times. If you're in Colorado, you're a mile high above the ocean, that is going to all affect your cook times. You need to take that into account when you do your cooking. I'll turn off the camera here, and we'll return when we pull them out of the oven, and we'll take a look at them. Okay, we are about ready to come out of the oven with our tarts. Here we go. All right. There we go. Our tarts. Got a little bit of leakage. Some places I didn't get sealed on all the way. That happens sometimes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit this with some cinnamon. Just a light dusting. I wish you could smell this, the peach and the mango and the jelly and the cinnamon now coming on, cinnamon getting heated up. Just smells really good. Smells really good. Once again, this is the HEB brand cinnamon. Full disclosure, I need to reiterate, I am getting no sponsorship, no money, nothing from HEB. It's just, I feel it only right to let you know what products I'm using. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera. We can close this out. Okay, this is a very simple tart way, a recipe, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully I can get this transcripted. It'll do a transcript next to the video, and it'll lay everything out for you. So yeah, it's because there's so much of this that's to your own taste. I mean, I can try and put a recipe in the description, but I don't think it would work real well. But there you have it. That is how I make a simple tart. And you know, that's basically something to keep in mind. It's inexpensive. The jelly's inexpensive. Fresh apples are inexpensive. Cinnamon. It's a whole collection of stuff that's inexpensive. If you have stuff that grows wild in your yard, like I have dewberries and muscadine berries and honeysuckle and things like that grow wild out here on my property. So yeah, you can use all kinds of things. It's like I said, it's not very expensive. It's a nice treat, and people tend to like them. So we'll go ahead and end the video here. Remember, be a good human. Be good to other humans. Peace.
Hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?